All right, let's dive into a book that has had a huge impact on modern spirituality. But what's so wild is that its wisdom didn't come from some remote monastery. Nope, it came from the heart of a bustling city, and from a really, really unlikely source.
You've probably heard this quote before, right? It was a huge favorite of teachers like Dr. Wayne Dyer. But here's the thing. This incredibly profound statement didn't start with him. Where it really comes from is way more unexpected and honestly, pretty amazing.
To find the answer, we've got to go to a tiny little upstairs room in the crowded streets of Mumbai. And we've got to meet a man who, for most of his life, just sold cigarettes to make a living.
Yeah, this is the story of Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. He's the guy who showed everyone that enlightenment isn't just for monks and recluses. It can show up in the most ordinary of lives. His birth name was Maruti Shivram Pant Kamli, and he was just a regular guy, a husband, a father, running a small business. But after he met his guru, something incredible happened. He had this profound realization of his true nature, and he didn't run off to a cave. He stayed put and started sharing this unbelievable wisdom from a small room he'd built for meditation, right above his shop.
So you have to wonder, how did these very local talks, given in the Marathi language, end up reaching a global audience? Well, the answer is this incredible and, frankly, completely unlikely partnership.
I mean, look at this. On one side, you've got Nisargadatta, the self-realized Hindu sage who's a local shopkeeper. And on the other, you have Maurice Friedman. He was a Jewish refugee from Poland, an engineer who had even worked with Mahatma Gandhi. Friedman just knew that what he was hearing was universally important, and he took on a massive job.
Friedman himself said the sessions were this polyglot scramble of different languages. So he would record these conversations, sort through them, and painstakingly translate everything from Marathi into English. All that work is what eventually became the spiritual classic, I Am That.
And the effect? It was immediate, and it was huge. Nisargadatta himself said the book just completely transformed his quiet life, as hundreds of seekers from all over the world started showing up at his tiny, humble apartment.
So, what was this core teaching that just grabbed people from all corners of the globe? It all came down to a radical deep dive into our most basic feeling, that simple sense of I am.
Nisargadatta hammered home this one, single, really challenging point. Our fundamental feeling of being alive, this I am that we think is us, is not who we really are. He said that this consciousness is just a temporary state, a side effect of having a body, which itself is really just a product of the food we eat.
He even called this consciousness the scorpion sting. And think about that metaphor for a second. It's perfect, right? A scorpion sting is this external thing that happens. It injects a poison, and then that poison creates all this intense suffering that feels completely personal, like it's your suffering. In the same way, he said consciousness just appears and injects this illusion of a separate self, which becomes the root of all our misery.
So here's the bottom line. Everything we experience, our thoughts, emotions, our birth, our death, even the very feeling that we exist, it all belongs to this temporary state of consciousness, this beingness. It's not a quality of what you truly are. Which, of course, brings us to the biggest question of all. If you're not your body, not your mind, not even the consciousness that says I am, then what on earth are you?
Nisargadatta pointed to our true state as the absolute. The Sanskrit word for it is Parabrahman, the ultimate reality. This is what you are before the concept of I am ever shows up. It's timeless, unborn, totally free, because it's not tied to experience or time at all.
And this chart just lays it out so clearly. On one side, you have the I amness, our consciousness. It's temporary, it's an appearance, a product of the body. But on the other side, there's the absolute, which is you. That's eternal, that's the underlying reality itself, unborn, and it was here long before the body ever was.
So his ultimate teaching wasn't to fight your ego or try to silence your mind. It was much simpler. Just stay with that feeling of I am. Investigate it, focus on it, until it finally reveals itself as a temporary illusion. When that happens, the I am just merges back into its source, the absolute, kind of like a wave dissolving back into the ocean.
The sheer, unfiltered directness of this message, especially coming from a humble shopkeeper, has left this deep, lasting mark on spiritual thought.
I mean, today, I Am That is considered an absolute masterpiece. The well-known teacher Adyashanti even called it the clearest expression I've ever found of this kind of non-dual wisdom. That's some high praise. And its influence is just undeniable. You can see the echoes of Nisargadatta's teachings in the work of so many of today's most popular spiritual teachers. We're talking Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra. All of them have recognized the power of this book.
His teachings are often put right up there with another giant of the 20th century, Ramana Maharshi. This really cements his place as one of the most important sages in the Advaita Vedanta, or non-dual tradition.
But, in the end, Nisargadatta's message wasn't about learning the new philosophy. It was a direct challenge. It was an invitation to just drop every concept you have, to look at your own existence with total honesty, and to discover for yourself what's left when that illusion of a separate you is finally seen through.